right, welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn.
If your March has been as crazy as mine, this show will be packed with information to make it even crazier.
So true. You know, I've got exams coming up, and on top of all that, I'm trying to catch all of the March Madness action.
Even if our own Auburn Tigers aren't in the big dance, my bracket isn't looking too bad. To hear more about all the Tigers have been up to, you are in the right place. Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. I'm Kitty Diamond.
And I'm Cohen Dalzell. We're going to kick this one off with the men's basketball team that is flirting with a 20-win season.
While the men's basketball team might make Auburn fans a little unhappy to hear about, let's talk a little bit about it. The Tigers took on South Alabama this past Tuesday for the NIT Championship opener. Keyshawn Hall and Kevin Overton both closed out the game with 21 points each, and Caden Magwood scored a career-high 14 points on 4 of 8 shooting.
Auburn looks to make the most of their time in the NIT as they hosted Seattle University inside Neville Arena on Sunday night. Auburn allowed the second most points of Seattle by a Division I team this year, but held off a late Red Hawks surge down the stretch, punching their NIT quarterfinals ticket 91-85. Auburn's offensive firepower came from a combination of Kevin Overton and Elijah Freeman, who shot a combined 8 for 14 from beyond the arc and 42 points for the Tigers. Sebastian Williams-Adams added 15 off the bench, and that was fortunately all it took for Auburn. Vivian Kennel was inside Neville Arena for the NIT matchup. She has more for you.
Auburn is moving on, but it took a second-half surge to get there. The Tigers take down Seattle University inside Neville Arena, powered by a breakout performance from beyond the arc. Auburn struggled early as Seattle U's defense disrupted their flow, holding the Tigers to just 2 3-pointers in the first half.
Seattle's a good team. Defensively is obviously where they hang their hat, and to score 91 points against that team, is good.
As we said, he expected us to come out slow. Now we kind of know, these teams are the type of teams you can start slow off against. We know they could very well beat us in that first 10 minutes.
But out of break, the Tigers flipped the momentum. Kevin Overton finished with 23 points, continuing his strong stretch of play, while Elijah Freeman added 19 points and 7 rebounds, going a perfect 4 for 4 from the deep after halftime. Their shooting sparked a quick run that allowed Auburn to build and maintain a lead. Adams also delivered a strong performance, scoring 15 points on a perfect night from the field. Seattle U made a late push, but Auburn's timely scoring helped secure the win down the stretch, 91-85.
That played really well offensively, but we just aren't very good defensively. That's something that if we want to beat Nevada, we got to try and fix in the next 2 days. So.
Auburn advances to the NIT quarterfinals, looking to the University of Nevada with a spot in the semifinals on the line.
Auburn's path doesn't get any easier as they face their region's 2-seed Nevada in their final home game of the year, win or loss. The game takes place tomorrow night inside Neville Arena at 8 p.m. If the Tigers win, they'll take the trip to Indianapolis for the NIT Final Four and a chance to finish their postseason off on a much higher note than the regular season. It sounds like you'll just have to tune in. Next week, when we come back from the break, Eagle Eye insider Kevin Corso will join me in the studio, and we're talking some key players on the court and some who didn't get past the bench. Don't go anywhere.
Welcome to Eagle Eye Insider, where we break down all things Auburn sports. Per usual, Auburn gave us a lot to talk about this week. I'm Kevin Corso, bringing you the good, the bad, and everything in between regarding our Tigers. The Tigers are headed to the quarterfinals of the NIT tournament thanks to some lights-out shooting, scrappy rebounding, and most notably a spark of believing in Auburn and loving it from the fans, who stuck around during a season where Auburn never really reached its ceiling on the court. On Sunday, the Tigers returned the favor to the fans in a 91-85 win against Seattle U. Auburn got off to a slick start, leading by double digits at halftime and leading by as much as 16 points in the second half. Well, Seattle should be used to wet weather, but they were not prepared for the storm of threes from Kevin Overton and Elijah Freeman. The two combined for 42 points and reined in 8 out of 14 from beyond the arc. Keyshawn Hall brought the Thunder to the glass as well, snagging 15 boards. In total, Auburn out-rebounded Seattle 41-23. Remembering where they're from, Seattle brewed a storm of their own to fight back and keep it close. The Red Hawks found their rhythm and poured in 16 threes on 50% shooting. Despite the effort, the Redhawks fans will not be sleepless in Seattle tonight as Auburn pulled away with a win. Stephen Pearl spoke about how some of the younger players have been performing as of late and what these extra season games mean to him. Take a listen.
Oh, it's great. I mean, Phillip played really well tonight. He was aggressive, 12 and 5, made 6 out of 9 free throws. I thought KO played well again. Elijah obviously had one of his better offensive games. K-Mag, stepped into his role and 2 assists and no turnovers against a really good defensive team. And, Sway did a great job, in his minutes as well. So it's incredibly valuable for me as a coach because, I'm able to get extra reps in my first year. But then also, these younger guys that need more game experience, this has been really good for them. And, it's something that we can, hopefully turn into a positive and build, towards the future.
Well, March keeps marching towards madness as the NCAA tournament approaches the Sweet 16. Here are some matchups to keep track of if your bracket isn't completely busted yet. We'll start with Arkansas versus Arizona. Arizona comes in as the number 2 overall seed and one of the most efficient scoring teams in the nation, hovering around 80 points per game and shooting it well from the field. The Wildcats like to play fast and push you in transition. The Razorbacks could care less about pace or pretty offense. Of course, freshman sensation Darius Acuff can score at will. This one will certainly be interesting, but I'm taking the Razorbacks with an upset. Up next is St. John's versus Duke. St. John's plays a very fast brand of basketball, thriving in transition while playing off forward Zuby Ejiofor. But Duke is not easy to rattle. The Blue Blood team is spearheaded by potential number 1 pick Cameron Boozer. If St. John's can be pesky and force turnovers, they have a chance, but I'm riding with the Blue Devils for this one. Finally is Tennessee versus Iowa State. This one is certain to produce some fireworks. Tennessee has been lights out in the tournament and has grinded out some tough wins this year. The Vols are aggressive on the glass as well, grabbing 42.5 rebounds a game. Iowa State is full of energy and scoring, averaging 95 points a game in their 2 tournament games, while continuing to play top 15 ranked defense. I think this one will come down to the wire. Tennessee is built for March, but Iowa State is hot. We'll see who can rise up and get a bucket late. I'm predicting it will be the Cyclones that keep on dancing. That's all I have for you tonight. After this, we'll start our Men's Minute, and we'll start with some baseball. Stick with us.
Let's jump into our Men's Minute with an update from the ballpark. Last Tuesday, ranked at number 4, Auburn took on number 3 Georgia Tech in an exciting matchup. If you were watching, you know Alvarez was the player to keep your eye on, hitting a career-best strikeout total of 10 in the game, striking out Georgia Tech's first 3 hitters in the top of the 5th and only allowing 1 earned run. The Tigers closed up the matchup 9-2, extending their win streak to 11 games.
Continuing on the theme of the week with top 5 matchups, Auburn hosted second-ranked Texas at Plainsman Park for a weekend conference clash. Game 1 was exactly as advertised, a hard-fought game between 2 of the country's best teams. Jake Marciano went 7 strong innings for the Tigers, striking out 9 and allowing only 2 hits on the night. The game went into the 9th inning, tied at 1 apiece, and Aiden Robbins of Texas took the chance for Texas again, hitting his 2nd home run over the wall to give the Longhorns the lead. Another run came around, and it was 3-1 Texas going to the bottom of the 9th. But Auburn would not go away that easy, rallying to load the bases in the bottom half before Bristol Carter dropped a hit into center field, getting away from Texas's Aiden Robbins and all the way to the wall. All 3 runners came around, and Auburn took the opener 4-3.
Game 2 started out a lot quicker than the first, and unfortunately for the Tigers, it was Texas who found themselves up 6-0 in the 3rd inning. Auburn racked up after that and crawled their way back to only down 1 run in the bottom of the 8th. But they stranded the game, tying not only in that inning, but the 9th as well. The Tigers took a loss for the first time since February, falling 6-7.
The final rubber match of the series wasn't much of a contest as Texas scored 5 runs in the first 5 innings. This time the Tigers couldn't match the firepower, falling in the game 5-0 and the series 2-1. Butch Thompson shared his thoughts on the outcome. Take a listen.
Hours, they just systematically beat us. And they got to a starter the last 2 days and took something away from us. We did not leverage counts. We got 8 walks today. I'm not used to seeing that. I think Texas had the most to do with that. They played tremendous offense, and we, of course, did not today. So I don't think it was close. And metaphorically speaking, I think they took our home plate, and they can take it home with them because they won the plate on both sides of the ball. Wouldn't close.
Now, as we speak, the most exciting part of a live show is a live update. The Tigers are currently winning 3-0 at the bottom of the third against South Alabama. We wish them good luck in the rest of their game, and now it's time to bring in our resident reporter, Barrett Brown. What's going on with the men's golf team?
Thanks, Kitty. I'm going to kick it off with men's golf. The men's team competed at the Valspar Collegiate on Monday, March 23rd, and continued to play today on the 24th. After day one, the Tigers led the tournament holding the number 1 spot. However, Texas Tech is close behind them at 28 under. Jackson Cohen and Caden Pope both finished the day at 8 under par overall, wishing them the best of luck as they continue the tournament. Now, moving on to men's tennis, number 14 Auburn took on number 17 Oklahoma. In a tough road environment, the team struggled to find their rhythm and fell 2-5. They didn't get much of a break. Next up was another challenging matchup against Arkansas on Sunday, March 22nd. Once again, the Tigers couldn't find their rhythm, and Arkansas took the win 6-1. The bright spot of the night was freshman Manel Lazaro, who picked up a win in the number 6 singles position, earning the Tigers their only point of the match. Coming up, the boys will be facing another group of Tigers, LSU, home on Friday, March 27th. Make sure you go and show them some support for this big matchup. Now, let's lace up the track shoes because I've got some new information on track and field. The team headed to Georgia to compete in the Yellow Jacket Invitational on Friday, March 20th to the 21st. On day one, Matthew Ruff secured his 6th career outdoor shot put win with a mark of 17.88 meters. Moving on to day 2, Camila Gomez holds the current number 11 time with nationally in the 800 meters. Reese Webster dominated, winning both the 100-meter and the 200-meter sprints. And finally, Mekhi Durpee, who currently holds the NCAA's number 1 time in the 200 meters, continued his dominance with another win in Georgia. It's clear his team continues to dominate on all fronts. Now I'm going to send it back to the desk because it's my favorite part, trivia time.
Thanks, Barrett. Now let's close out this week's Men's Minute with everyone's favorite, trivia. Coming from the track, the Auburn's men's track team has won a trophy at NCAA championships how many times in a row? Is it A, 1, B, 2, C, 3, or D, 4? We'll have the answer for you right after this short break. Stick with us.
Welcome back to Sports Night in Auburn. When we talked to you last, we left you with a track trivia question. We asked how many consecutive team trophies has Auburn men's track team won? Is it A, 1, B, 2, C, 3, or D, 4? If you guessed letter D, then you would be right on the money. The men's track team has won 4 trophies in a row. Wow.
That's incredible, Cohen. Now let's take a look at some women's tennis. The number 4 Tigers earned a major win on the road over a number 24 South Carolina team. This marked the team's 11th consecutive win in doubles. Ashton Bowers and Ekaterina Kharitonova won each of the first 4 games at the number 3 position, leading to an impressive 6-1 win.
After that, Auburn headed to Athens to take on the best team in the land in Georgia, a rematch of their 4-3 loss to the Dogs earlier this year at the ITA National Team Indoor Championships. The Tigers couldn't avenge that loss as Georgia swept the points, taking the match 4-0. One of the only bright spots for the Tigers came as Ava Esposito took the first set off of Georgia's Sophia Rojas during the singles section. However, outside of that, it was dog dominance in Athens.
The Tigers will now look ahead to their matchup against Mississippi State this Friday. The game will be held at home, so make sure you head over to Yarborough Tennis Center at 5 p.m. to support our girls. Now, Barrett has more on women's golf.
That's right, Kitty, I do. The women's team competed in the Charles Schwab Women's Collegiate Invitational from March 23rd through the 25th, and I've got to give a couple big shout-outs. Charlotte Cantonis was named SEC Freshman of the Week, and Molly Davidson took home SEC Player of the Week honors. Always great to see the Auburn Athletics making some noise. Looking ahead, the team will be back in action at Georgia State Invitational on March 30th through the 31st, and I'm wishing them good luck. And finally, let's head to the gym for women's gymnastics. The Tigers competed in the SEC Championship on Saturday, March 21st, one of the most competitive meets in the country. They faced off against LSU, Oklahoma, Florida, Arkansas, Georgia, Kentucky, Missouri, and Alabama. And every single one of those teams is ranked in the top 25 nationally. Auburn posted a 195.300 and finished 9th overall in a stacked field. And a big individual performance from sophomore Marissa Neal, tied for second on the floor with an impressive 9.930. This meet really showed that the SEC is competitive. Now, I hear that at the desk they have some softball news.
Yes, I do, Barrett. Auburn softball faced off against South Alabama on the road this past Tuesday. They took the win in 5 innings, scoring 11-2. That's quite a strong batting performance from those Lady Tigers.
Coming off of their hot win, the Lady Tigers took on Jacksonville State at home this past Wednesday. Auburn could not catch a break in the top of the first as 2 Jacksonville hits came via a ball lost in the sun and a foul ball that rolled back into fair territory. That being said, the Tigers offense responded immediately after a pair of walks put runners on bases. Walker doubled in a run. Then Womack followed with a home run to give Auburn a 4-2 lead. It wasn't until the 6th when Auburn really got their mojo. With bases loaded, Walker delivered her 3rd grand slam of the season to push the lead to 10-3. And in a storybook ending, Harrison closed the game with her 300th career strikeout to secure the win.
That wasn't all from the Auburn softball team. They took a 3rd win in a row when they faced off against Florida A&M at home. They were able to take the W with a score of 8-3.
The team will set their sights on facing South Alabama tomorrow at home for the Military Appreciation Game. Now, Barrett has more on the swim and dive team.
Yes, I do. The Women's NCAA Championships took place from Wednesday, March 18th through the 21st. The team ended on a high note, finishing 25th overall. Emily Halifax really stood out in diving. She averaged a 58.13 and continued her success with back-to-back top 16 finishes at the NCAA level. And there was plenty of other standouts. Laura Camarazzi and Juliette Londy among few earning All-American honors, an amazing way to close out the season. Now, shifting gears, the women's spring season for soccer is in full swing. The team competed at Jacksonville State on Saturday, March 21st, and they came back to Auburn with a 1-0 win. Now, looking ahead, they'll be back in action at Mercer on Saturday, March 28th. And last but not least, let's talk about women's equestrian. The 2026 SEC Equestrian Championship is right around the corner. Auburn will host the event at home, taking on Texas A&M on Friday, March 27th and the 28th. Well, that's all I have for me today. Now I'm going to send it back to the desk.
Always great having you, Barrett. Here's a trivia question that might get you. Who was Auburn's equestrian teammate of the month? Was it A, Holland Barnett, B, Charlotte Cook, C, Avery Glynn, or D, Kate Parker?
We'll start our favorite segment around here, Trending Tigers, and you might just get to catch up with some former Auburn Tigers. We'll be right back. Welcome back. When we left you, we asked who was Auburn Equestrian's teammate of the month. Is it A, Holland Barnett, B, Charlotte Cook, C, Avery Glynn, or D, Kate Parker? If you guessed letter A, Holland Barnett, you would be correct.
First, we have to take a look at Chaney Johnson, who has continued to put up impressive numbers in only his 5th NBA game with the Nets. He delivered 17 points, 9 rebounds, and 0 turnovers. Thank you, Chaney, for making Auburn proud.
His call up to the NBA has been super fun to follow, especially seeing him and other former Auburn big Dylan Cardwell chatting it up post-game. Now, turning it over to the gridiron, a couple of former Tigers have made the move to new teams in the NFL. Corner Jamel Dean inked a 3-year, almost $37 million move from the Tampa Bay Bucks to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and defensive lineman Colby Wooden was traded from my Green Bay Packers to the Indianapolis Colts. Offensive lineman Braden Smith has been on the Colts for quite a while, so the two big men were close to playing together in Indianapolis, but Smith signed with and is headed to the Texans down in Houston.
Now for my favorite time of the night, It's time for Trending Tigers. First, we have to look at this packed Plainsman Park from this past week. Attendance was at a record high of 8,037 Auburn students as Auburn fans flocked in to cheer on our number 5 ranked team.
Well, their season is still in full swing. Everyone's getting a first look at Auburn football. Eyes are on all parts of the team, from Alex Golesh to Byron Brown. Concerns, excitement, and plenty more emotions accompany their film for Auburn fans.
Now, despite what you may believe, last Tuesday, Stephen Pearl marked his 18th win with the Auburn Tigers, which is the most by any first-year head coach in program history. We have to give credit where credit is due here. That was great and so nostalgic, but that's all we have in store for you today. For more Sports Night in Auburn and Eagle Eye Sports, follow our Instagram and Twitter pages. Make sure to subscribe right here on YouTube and tune in every single week. Until next time, I'm Kitty Diamond.
For all of us here in the Eagle Eye studio, Kevin and Barrett and everyone behind the camera, our producers are Sophia Weber and Madison Seidel. I'm Cohen Dalzell, and this has been Sports Night in Auburn. Good night and War Eagle.